usually works out well for them, so they're more than willing to invite Team Liquid to fight in that right building. Now that said, looking at this, Vol can open things up with D.Va ult over the top. Doesn't get anything from it. Rob 420 out of the fight. A 6v5 advantage now for Team Liquid as they go in. Here comes ID, moving to the back. Barrage up and at the ready. And he's going to drop this here right onto Vost. Picks up the free kill.
And it's going to be an attempt at a barrage there for ID up in the air, but he's going to be cut down by Train. He gets up close, or at least under him as much as he can. Super and Vol are on their own here up against 4 and 3 tanks as well, getting in their fates, and that's definitely not a good situation to be in, especially when they're being piloted by LG Evil players. Mendo did well though, managed to get the D-suit and kill on Vol, and now mutual Primal Rage is coming out on the point. Dang, actually Rob 420 almost getting knocked off. Has to be a little bit careful, but Jake is going to be in the backline as well, getting that damage down. Mendo's super low. He's just got rid of his suit there, goes for the self-destruct, but he died before he can get it back.
And really, this is a good job for LG Evil to get back onto that point and make this a fight where they had lost the initial fight rather convincingly, but they're able to delay things out. Train, Pulse Bomb sticks on the Dahang, and he's pulling this one right back. Picks up the double. Rafa now in his sights. Rafa, though, dueling him right back. This is the great thing about the new Lucio, where Rafa has been scared in defense. However, LG Evil still in control of the point, 99% to 0, and this is looking like they have brought this one back.
Yeah, that was massive by Train there to get the Pulse Bomb coolness in the outer end, follow up on towards that Winston, and look at that, Mesa just jumps into the self-destruct. There's no chance to keep this overtime going, and LG Evil, that's a very commanding start in my opinion. Train is looking very good.
The other thing too is that I kind of feel like that was a round that Team Liquid needed the win, given the fact that LG Evil, not only are they good at control in general, but they're really good at anything that's more close quarters, and you don't get more close quarters than the control center stage of Legion.
Yeah, it was rough. ID's fire didn't really pop off too much in the beginning. I think the D.Va ate a lot of his rockets, and we saw the weakness, I guess, of the res as opposed to the Transcendence. I think there was one fight where Rob 420's Trans actually just kept like 3 or 4 people alive as opposed to the res only brought up 2. So I think Dahang had a pretty rough round, in my opinion anyway.
Well, we will have a difference in strategy between the two teams here, Uber, where Mendo will be on the Genji, and there's nothing directly going to be impeding him here, where he doesn't have to worry about McCree or anything like that. We'll have to worry about Super, but this should be more open territory for Mendo.
Yeah, I mean, you got ID switching over towards Zaya now as well, so the Pharah Mercy's sort of out the window. That means we get to see Dahang obviously over on that Zenyatta pick, which is kind of what we really want to see from him in particular. But Mendo, you talk about him not getting impeded. He gets picked off early in the fight by Jake here, and LG Evil having to stretch this one out.
Mendo got on the wrong end of the Helix rocket. Jake dead on, takes down Rafa as he dives in, and this dive from Team Liquid not really working out. They lost Mendo early in the fight. They tried to recover by diving in even deeper, but doesn't work out, and LG Evil should be able to get first control at this point now.
Yeah, look, they backed up really nicely to deal with Meza, who sort of jumped in their backline. By that stage of the fight, there was like 3 men up on Liquid. Meza made a desperate dive in to try and get a support or 2, and the rest of LG just folded around him and managed to defend Rob 420 specifically and actually win that fight out. So no big ultimates yet coming into this one. You can see the amount of damage being done here for LG Evil early.
LG Evil right now, they're holding further back. They're not being aggressive. They're making Team Liquid dive into them. And here comes the dive. But AZK punished immediately by Jake. I gotta say for Jake, who had a time where he wasn't quite on point in recent times, he's been playing really well today. Now, backing off, able to get to the health pack, will be able to come back into this fight, but Mendo going off, picks off too. So Team Liquid slowly able to bring this back in their favor.
Yeah, he managed to get into the back line. That's the most important part. Both supports getting pretty well hammered out there now. It's going to be a Primal Rage over on the point here. An attempt for Meza to try and keep LG Evil away from it, with it just being Super now essentially on his own, and Avast trying to heal him up. Shouldn't be too long, but he's going to use a bit of a tempo sound barrier here for the rest of the team to come back in. So it's only a 2-man sound barrier, but now they have almost a full team up on this point. And Rob 420 opens up nicely. AZK gets headshot.
And here comes the Transcendence from Rob 420, going to keep everyone the point alive and also stall things out more. Mendo, late Dragon Blade into the fight, looking to crack it wide open. Gets one, looking for more. Putting most of it into the Winston, not gonna be able to get what he's looking for there, and Super takes him right out. Still relatively close, but LG Evil appearing to be on top, and they kept control that entire time, Uber.
Yeah, and Train's having a lot of problems getting damage done on the backline now, especially with Zaya on the field. The shield over towards Dahang was very well timed, and he went down. Now the Graviton Surge and ID definitely having more of an impact in this round than he did on that Pharah previously. A bit of a whitewash fight there for Team Liquid, but it's taken them so long, ZP, to get to the point.
And the key thing here is that even when LG Evo's on the losing end of the fight, they're able to just continually delay. Train gets back onto the point while the rest of his team is coming back in. Sure, he's going to die in this case, but look at the progress that was gained. 91% to 0 by the time all the dust settles, and LG Evo has put themselves in a position where all they have to do is win one more fight to take the round.
That's why you saw the decision made by Avast and Super actually just to go for a 2-man sound barrier just to stall the point out. And a couple more teammates got on there. They managed to elongate the fight by at least a minute, which is just huge. Now they come back in with not a lot of ultimates here, so they need to get the damage done. They're going to get some zoning done with the self-destruct now. The Transcendence off towards the side from Dahang. That should be pretty effective for Liquid. It's all 5-5 right now as Jake finds Raffle with the Helix.
The other big thing for Liquid here is that they've been winning pretty heavily on the poke war, but Super, late Primal Rage coming in, looking to equalize this, and he's getting Zenyatta completely out of the fight to hang. Nothing he could do there. Super is making all sorts of room for LG Evil as they get back onto the point.
ID gets cut down there as well. Avast managed to chase him down around the point, and AZK can only desperately try and blink back and forth across. Now Super goes in towards the back line, but a little bit too far. Mendo finishes him off with a swift strike. Now Train realizes he needs to give a bit of ground too, and it should be enough for LG as they hold the point.
Well, this is going to be do or die for Mendo here, where he has a Dragon Blade up, and it's one of the main ultimates to turn this around. So here he goes, Dragon Blade coming out, gets Avast, looking for more. Rob 420 in his sights, down he goes as well. So it's 2 kills here coming in off of the Dragon Blade, and for the Team Liquid, that's going to be enough to flip this back over and give them a little bit more hope.
Yeah, it was a nice engage from Mezza actually. Normally Vol is the player on that D.Va that turns around and deals with the Winston if he gets into his backline, but the combined dive from Mendo there as well with the Dragon Blade pretty much sealed the deal. However, big ultimates coming up here for LG Evil.
This is where Team Liquid is in the fight that will define the round, where they're going to have to win this being down ultimates, which means they need to get an early pick-off before everyone can go in and press Q. And you take a look at Jake right now. Jake is creeping from the back, and he's going to get a great attack visor here position-wise. He's coming in over the top. Here comes attack visor, and this is going to clear out room. Now, it's going to draw both Winston and Genji onto him, so they take him out. The question is if LG Evil is able to make the most of it on the ground, and so far, it's 5 versus 5.
Yeah, mutual sound barrier is out there as well. Rob 420 actually going to take down ATK, which has been devastating for him. He had another ineffective pulse bomb in that last fight, and now it's easy for Train to get in. He finds the hang pretty comfortably. The primal rage now from Mezza in the middle of the fight. It's been happening over on the main point and the side room, but now we're into the main room itself. It's Dragon Blade for Mendo trying to get in. Trying to find a target really at this stage, but he can't. Super made it so hard for him to access the backline, and he got cut down by the primal rage.
He got chunked really hard too, so he couldn't even go in aggressively, lest he would have just died immediately with 13 HP. And Super, he has been on point with his Winston play in this here so far, picking up 3 kills in this final fight, 99% to 99 now, and Team Liquid just struggling to keep it in overtime. They will not be able to do that. And LG Evil up 2-0 to start out this Lijiang.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Mendo Genji a little bit more than the D.Va. I think he was able to have a good impact, but it was pretty tough for Mezza actually to dive properly because Vol at least was always on top of him, plus the Zenyatta of Rob 420 with the Discord Orb. So Mezza had a tough time for a lot of that game, and ID Zarya as well. We saw that one grab that worked out, but he also had problems dealing with Train.
Rod?
I mean, this 2-2-2 comp with the Winston, D.Va, Tracer, Soldier, Zen, Lucio is something that we've been seeing a lot more lately, and it fits their team really well because Train has always practiced Tracer on the side, and Vol's always been a really solid D.Va, so we could see how effective it's been right now.
All right, so LG Evil coming back out here once more. Mendo sticking on to the Genji, so you don't see return to the Pharah here, even though Pharah can be good on this particular stage. Team Liquid going to put their hopes in the setup, but they lose ID early on, so now already 5 versus 6 on the back foot, and they're just backing out.
Yeah, as soon as ID went down and it was on for Young and Old, Super just jumped onto Hang. There was very minimal backline protection here. It's this single tank composition for Liquid, so they don't really deal too well when the fight gets taken to them. Whereas if you look at LG Evil, they have Vol that can respond. There is plenty of peel for their support, so when your Zenyatta opens up with a headshot on a 76, you've got to take the fight.
That's one of those things where great Zenyatas can create opportunities for a team where they just randomly will go in and get a quick pick off. And Super counter diving on the Mezar, supports his team against the Winston dive, and now Team Liquid looking at a situation where they have to take a 5 versus 6 without a Winston to help support. Oh, look at that! Rafa sends Rob 420 off the edge, evening things up, and Team Liquid making the most out of what was a tough engage.
Yeah, this is a great turnaround from Team Liquid. They lost Mesa so early, there was no follow-up for him, but now they're finding the crucial targets. Rafa gets his second kill of the fight. Vol now goes down, who got D-suited very early on, so lacking the D.Va capability was pretty tough there for LG Evil, and yeah, Super knows he's done. Stall for a little bit longer, whatever he can do, and now it's LG Evil actually off the point and looking to make some progress.
Given how this started, the fact that it's now going to be even 22% to 22%, this is a big boon for Team Liquid. And going to the next fight, they showed a bit of an edge. Dragon Blade will be at the ready. Sound Barrier and Transcend still a little bit far away, so this is a fight where Mendo can really clean things up, especially if it takes place in close quarters, where Dragon Blade can do even more. Here comes Mendo, looking for that close quarters fight. Diving in, but gets immediately chunked and taken down. Jake stopping Mendo before the carnage can begin.
Pulse Bomb and Dragon Blade in close quarters, that's going to make your life very, very hard. Vol's done a great job. He's got 2 kills with a Bunny Blaster so far. AZK and Raffle went down to him. It may well not be enough at this stage, though. Obviously, Jake can stay alive. He can put a bit of damage down. Now Avast and Train have gotten back, so a longer fight and not what LG Evil wants, but still progress.
It's progress, but the problem is with LG Evil taking the fight in close quarters is that they weren't able to immediately get on the point after getting an advantage, and Mendo coming back into the fight, picking up 2, and the window of opportunity to recap for LG Evil gone away here as Team Liquid maintains control.
Credit to Team Liquid to take the fight to LG Evil as they were trying to set up in that close quarters area across from the actual point itself, because LG Evil can't get to the point, that take a lot of damage from these AoE ultimates, and then by the time they sort of get any advantage in that fight, they're still going to walk to the point, by which stage there are reinforcements for Liquid.
This is getting worse and worse for LG Evil here, where they're going to have to take a fight at an ult disadvantage. If they lose this fight, they're almost certainly going to lose the round. So a lot's going to depend on the Transcendence here, how much value they get off of that, and for their sake, getting an early pick off if possible. Meanwhile, you take a look at ID. Has Attack Visor, can activate it immediately, should be seeing it here in a moment, but they lose the hang before the Sound Barrier hits. Suddenly, Team Liquid has put themselves in a tough situation, and they very well will lose this fight.
Yeah, Rob420 just backing Super up. It was a 2-man army there, and you can see the damage being done by Super. He finally finds Mendo at the end of the fight. Yes, they were missing the Zenyatta in the backline because Rob had to go in for the dive, but it still worked out. That's what the LG Evil dive kind of looks like, actually, when Train's not there.
Alright, so LG Evil able to take a fight in a tough situation, that could be game-changing. Still though, not out of the fire yet. Mendo will have Dragon Blade, Sound Barrier should be backing him up. It's going to depend on Vol to get a good self-destruct to even the odds here just a bit. And no, Mendo getting chunked immediately! The combination between Train and Jake stopping the Dragon Blade from becoming a reality, and LG Evil Uber just bought themselves even more time.
Yeah, and there's no reason for them to back up to the point now, especially when you've got so much mobility in Vol and of course in Train. So you can play up fairly front, you can access the backline fairly easily, and we'll see how Train's going to bring this fight in. There's a self-destruct, and there is, more importantly, is the tactical visor here for Jake.
Alright, but this is going to be more of an ultimate showdown. Tac Visors should be going up for both sides. It's an early Sound Barrier from Team Liquid, but Jake, dropping the Tac Visor, finds Mendo immediately and is in great position to lay in the damage, especially onto a discorded Winston.
And Rob420 waiting around the corner there as well, trying to get plenty of orbs in towards Mezza, and eventually he's got to go down. Nice damage from Rob420, and now this trio here of Jake, Train, and Rob420 can stay alive. They rejoin up with Super on the point now, 80%. ID obviously going down to that Winston. Full control here for LG Evil. They've turned this one around nicely, but they don't have too many ultimates here or at all to work with.
They turned it around, but Rob420 threw that Transcendence into the garbage. They had that fight completely won, and he popped it at the very end, so they're not going to have that here. And now, Dahang, his counterpart, has a Transcendence, will use it to keep Team Liquid alive, and they just go straight onto that point, aided by that, then flip the point, and LG Evil, now in a tough situation, trying to come back in as AZK slams the door with a double Pulse Bomb.
That is so good ID with a quick double there. We actually managed to de-suit Vol. I'll count that one for now. And now in overtime, they take it. They completely outmaneuvered LG Evil. LG Evil had it. It was almost overtime, and Liquid ignore them. Go to the point, quickly cap it to hold on. That is sick.
There were 2 mistakes there, one after the other. First mistake was that the Transcendence from Rob420 was thrown into the ether for no reason. The second mistake was that they let Team Liquid get onto the point without any contesting and let them flip it for free.
Well, alright, so the Transcendence, I think he thought he was going to die, and if he died there and Mezra lived, it was going to get a little messy, or AZK rather. But when it came down to at the end, you guys were talking about how great that Pulse Bomb was for AZK. He actually whiffed. He was trying to hit Super with it. It missed, hit the edge of the door, and then wound up getting a 2K behind Super. So, like, it was kind of... a lot of the stars fell into place there for the side of Liquid to finish that round.
All according to Keikaku Flame. Don't worry about it. Alright, so we are getting back into the Garden stage, and ID still staying on the 76 here, where they're not going back to fair no matter what. This is a permanent change, as Mendo getting taken down off the dive. The counter dive from LG Evil and how they deal with other teams diving into them, Uber, does seem to be very much on point here so far, where they punish that immediately and then counter into the other team.
Yeah, it's the Diva. I mean, your Winston gets shredded so fast if he gets up in the face of Diva. It's almost as scary as having to dive into a Roadhog, to be honest, with the amount of damage you can put out up close. It's just filthy. And then Mendo had no protection. He was singled out. It was only those two in the back line, and so it kind of follows. If you lose a Winston, you're going to lose probably the Genji as well. And now LG Evil, a bit of a snowbally fight here. They get those first 2 picks, and it's a quick attempt for Liquid to try and get back, but they sacrifice a lot of damage and feed a lot of ultimates here.
They feed quite a bit, especially Mezar towards the end where, yeah, Mezar is able to take down Jake, but with the entirety of LG Evil just beating on his gorilla body there, guess what? That gave them a lot more in terms of ultimate charge, so LG Evil is in a very good position here. They're gonna have full 6 up for the next fight. They're gonna have attack visor up in a wide open area. Things are looking good for them.
Jake's just going to stand right back and wait for a good opportunity to use this here. You can see Vol and Avast are playing quite far forward. They're taking a lot of damage here. That's going to force the Transcendence out pretty quickly. Now the Tactical Visor comes in from Jake. I don't know how he found Mendo. He wasn't even looking for him with that particular shot. It was just kind of in his periphery. Cheeky little pulse rocket around the corner there to get that kill. Helix, should I say. Nicely done.
I will say, though, that for Team Liquid, that wasn't too bad from a Junk Rush perspective, where they did force out the Transcendence at the very least. Going to the next fight, they're going to have Transcendence of their own, a Dragon Blade, and a Attack Visor, so a lot of opportunity for them to make this happen, especially from Mendo's point of view, where he doesn't have to worry about immediately getting mitigated by Transcendence. Now, the Sound Barrier could ruin his day, but either way, a lot of tools here for Team Liquid, and they should be able to get a pretty good engage if they play their cards right.
AZK got immediately discorded as he tried to tickle the point there, so that's pretty frustrating for him, but he's patiently backed away. Jake kills ID though, he got a Tactical Visor ready to go. You don't want to lose him right now in this fight, it's so crucial. Mendo at least able to make it a 5v5. He finds Train, and now AZK finally gets the D-suit on Vol, who was dueling for the last 10 seconds, but he whiffs the Pulse Bomb. Now he's going to deal with Rob 420 up close to personal, but he finds it with a melee, and now it's just going to be Super and Avast trying to save things alive. G-Swab, you walk the short plank off the edge, and Rafa finds 2.
And the interesting thing here for LG Evil is that they're still delaying this out. They lost the fight probably about 15 seconds ago, and yet you still have Train adding more progress on. So it's given Team Liquid no margin for error here, where on the upside, they will have Sound Barrier for the next fight. It should allow them to be aggressive and counter dive effectively. The downside is that if they lose a single fight from this point forward, the map will be lost.
I'm interested to see how self-destruct gets used here by Vol, if it can actually get any value up on this point. We'll see. They're going to get aggressive and come forward here. That's the only ult they've got to work with. Train, oh, he got chunked down so low, he had to recall that one immediately. Now the self-destruct goes up, but I don't really know if that's going to connect with too much. No, nothing. And AZK finds Vol and Rob 420. Give him an inch and he'll take a mile. He gets to the back line and makes mincemeat of.
That was great for Team Liquid. The ultimate coordination was there. They dodged a self-destruct, and ID did plenty with the Tac Visor on the left flank. Now, going to the next fight, it's going to be more of a Transcendence-based fight, where Dahang is going to have to keep people alive versus the almost certainty of a Tac Visor from Jake. So, again, for Team Liquid, they're going to have to win 2 to 3 more fights here. Here comes the next one, and here comes LG Evil.
AZK again, through the backline, Pulse Bomb and Avast, an easy connect. Jake's lucky to survive that one. There he gets a bit of healing from the biotic field, but AZK's not done yet. Now he's to the front line, he finds Super. He wants to dash back in, and now he's pressured LG Evil away. They know they're done here.
That was efficient for Team Liquid because of the Pulse Bomb opening. Now Dahang, he got to sit on his Transcendence. He gets it for another fight, doesn't have to use it there. And Team Liquid is climbing the mountain here so far, where now they're maybe just one fight away if this is a dragged out fight. So more pressure on LG Evil, but here they go. The engage is coming in. Jake in the back, holds on to Attack Visor, comes around the right flank, and uses it. Now looking for any targets, should be able to take out Mendo here. It's a good engage from LG Evil, and they push Team Liquid back.
Oh, Jake has to be careful. No! He goes off the edge, he used the Attack Visor and found nothing, and then he got booped off by Meza. That's just gotta hurt. Fortunately, it may not be the deciding factor in this fight.
The rest of the fight is still going very well, despite the impromptu throwing off of the edge by Mezar. LG Evil, they're gonna cap this here, but the way... Oh no, they're not doing it just yet. You have stall coming in from Mendo at the last moment, and this is buying a lot of valuable percentage for Team Liquid, where even if they do lose this here, they should have a chance for one more desperation fight.
Yeah, look, and once you get it into overtime, your job's done. You've stalled plenty enough. There still needs to be a pretty quick response here from Liquid, but they got AZK, who'll just tease the point. The divider in the middle makes it so easy for him to do that, but the real fight's happening now in the main area. Pulse Bomb doesn't connect with anyone. There's a sound barrier as well for LG Evil. That's going to help, but ID, no, almost gets knocked off the edge. Super instead goes himself. Oh, Mendo knocks him off. The Pharah coming in for Mendo, actually getting the D-suit on Vol as well. A nice little switch at a very timely moment.
The surprise Pharah catching LG Evil off guard, and Team Liquid on the verge of taking Garden, and they do.
Sick.
This is going to bring us to a 5th and final round number 5 here on Lijiang. So already, this group stage starting with a bang. Doesn't get much closer than this for a control map.
you want to go? I mean, my issue is there's like a weird dynamic right now between the way Mezer's playing Winston and the way Super's playing Winston. Mezer has to deal with this Devo, Super doesn't, and Super's saving his ult to delay the point, and Mezer's trying to get frags with it. It kind of paid off at the end there, as I think Train was actually about to kill Mezer before that round ended, and if he had gotten that kill, maybe that last fight looks a little different, but Mezer wound up living on like 10 HP to get a health pack, and they all got baited by the Pharah, but that was a really good swap by Mendo at the end, I think.
All right, so it will be settled here on the night market. And again, Team Liquid sticking with this Genji-fueled comp. Meanwhile, you take a look at LG Evil. They're sticking with what's been working for them with the Winston Diva. And it's going to take place here in the courtyard to open things out.
Yeah. All right, let's see what Mendo can do with this Genji in this round. A little bit more quiet in the last one until he switched over towards that Pharah. But now, again, aggressive from LG Evil. They push... Look, Rob420 opens up with a ridiculous headshot from sitting in the back line. Finds whoever. He doesn't care. This time it was actually Rafa. That wins the fight already. I think there was an extra pick off there. Yeah, Mendo went down. That's filthy.
LG Evil's just been getting more contribution from their Zen in terms of damage and pickoffs here. Rob420 has been just in some fights taking out a target immediately. But the next fight is underway right away. AZK finding his man in Train. A 65 opportunity here for Team Liquid as they look for the right way of approaching. Mendo dives right in, finds Jake, and looks for more. Team Liquid on a 3-0 run here, and they are going to retake this with authority.
Yeah, very strong fight for them as well. A lot of damage done, and of course Mendo followed that Discord orb from Dahang straight to Jake, and he cut him off at the pass there. That was an easy pick off. Of course, it kind of helps when AZK wins that Tracer duel right at the start of the fight before it even starts happening. Train got decked.
So, Team Liquid now in a more commanding position, and they're going to have both Pulse Bomb and Dragon Blade up for the next fight. Again, a big opportunity for Mendo's. Everyone's stuck in this close quarters. Here comes the Blade, and here comes the slashing. Looking for everything. AZK gets 2, and Mendo cleans up the rest. That is a 4K for Mendo. LG Evil, who normally likes close quarters, did not really like it that much that time.
It's deja vu. They did this last time on this particular map. This was actually the one that proved to be the start of the reverse sweep, by the way. Fighting in close quarters after you lost the point against Pulse Bomb, Dragon Blade, which you should well know are up. You got no one to blame but yourself.
It's one of those things where LG Evil, they have such confidence in their close quarters that they don't respect the other ultimates that might be having. There it is, though. The Pulse Bomb comes in from Train, doesn't quite take out Mezar, forces out the Primal Rage, and Rafa not able to drop the beat, taken down by Jake before he hits the ground, and that split-second difference could give LG Evil the point as they turn this fight completely around.
It's actually a really good game in terms of the way that these two teams team fight, actually. Not only is it quite scrappy, but there's also some tendencies you can really identify. This time, Train at the end of the fight finds AZK, and often when it's LG Evil winning these fights out, it's Jake or Rob420 that finds a pick there. So nice on the Soldier 76 there from Jake, but we've got Tac Visor Sound Barrier coming in here for Liquid.
Meanwhile, look at LG Evil, Super holding on to Primal Rage, keeping options open and throwing people off the ledge, but also will be just disruptive with how he engages on here, where he's going to drop down, get massive amounts of cleave, and then when he takes damage, he can Primal Rage. This is a great engage from LG Evil, and our people going off the ledge. Doesn't find it just yet, but look at this, the turnaround ID, taking down 2 before falling. Still though, even fight 3 versus 3.
Yeah, Vol doing some serious work here in the fight. Rafa going down eventually. He actually was trying to skate around the edge of the wall for as long as he could, and now Train, you give him the freedom to just clean up, and that's what a Tracer's going to do. AZK also very good at it there. Rafa got booped off right at the start of the fight, though. That really hurt.
It was a great engage by Super there, where not only did he have outs for just throwing people off the ledge, but he got so much cleave early on. That is the value you want to get from Winston early in a fight. That said, now at 80% for LG Evil, the time to strike for Team Liquid is now. Mendo has built up another Dragon Blade, and there's not too much again in his way. How he uses it here could decide if Team Liquid stays in this, and Liquid deciding where to go in. Here comes the Blade. Mendo dashing to the back, has to deflect early on, but finds Jake and Rob420. Mendo pierces through, and Team Liquid should be able to retake the point.
AZK kept the entire backline of LG Evil busy in that fight. Their tanks were trying to dive in on the rest of Liquid and they couldn't. And then Mendo just ignores them and goes, oh, you know what, I'm going to go to the backline too and join AZK. They were completely split in half across the entire courtyard.
Now we'll get to see if Mezar can take notes from the Super School of Winstoning here, where he does have Primal Rage. No, Team Liquid, they're going to play this further back. They're prioritizing the point. They're giving plenty of room here to LG Evil. Both Zens, Transcendence on deck. Rob420 gets to use it first, but Super goes down early. He's not able to benefit from it, and that's a massive pick-off for Team Liquid to start this fight.
And that was what Rob420's Transcendence was mostly for, was to try and keep Super alive, but it doesn't work out. He gets burst down too early, and Alec, we're going to keep running forward. Jake gets felled by a Shuriken headshot. Mendo's been deadly efficient now at these crucial kills. Rob420 first, Jake second. Now we're going to be getting close to double overtime here. LG Evil don't really have the biggest ultimates in play. Vol now deciding if he wants to play Sombra. No, back on the Diva.
It is all going to come down to this. This fight will decide the map. Early pulse bomb comes in, does not connect, and here comes a Voss dropping the barrier. LG Evil, they're all in. The tack visor is out here from Jake, and he's not really getting too many targets early on. Will not even find Mezar towards the end. Mezar able to escape, but does fall towards the end as Super starts cleaning up on the point. Primal Rage out, gets 2 before falling. It's close, but LG Evil standing on top when the dust settles.
Sick from Avast there, really nice. Also, Super, by the way, he zoned out ID when he had that tack visor. He had no chance to get that damage done. He did go down to Mezar, but it don't matter. Sick from Avast there, a bit of a... so scary when you're caught up like that in that little area. So yeah, tried to hack the Mega and just sit on it. Didn't quite work out perhaps the way that LG Evil would have liked. It did actually buy a little bit of time, but again, it pushed them so far back. It allows the payload to get so close as well that they're straight into stall on this first point.
Team Liquid, they're keeping a good clip here where the Hanzo has worked out. That said, Jake falls immediately and already opens things up even more for Team Liquid in this situation.
What side are you looking for here? He's just sitting in the back. He's still staying on that Hanzo. Of course, he didn't have a chance to go back. It's not really possible here. So he's going to actually pick up Trey with a scatter arrow. That's getting a lot of value for this pick here. And he doesn't have to do too much more than that. Shatter comes in there as well. The Dragon Blade, of course, going to be quite nasty to hang very close to a Nano Boost coming up there as well. And there it is. First point taken. Liquid. And they get rid of the cheese.
Well, they dealt with LG Evil's game plan. Now the question is for LG Evil, if they are able to reestablish, are they going to try and go into their second favorite room of Watchpoint Gibraltar, which is of course the room right next to the shuttle. Right now though, that might be a pipe dream because they are stuck pretty far outside. Team Liquid's taking a commanding positioning here on top of the shuttle. They're not going to let LG Evil step the way they want to, and they have a slight ult advantage to boot. So it's a difficult time for LG Evil, and yet they're going to engage once more. They lose Jake immediately to Shatter diving in, and things are already looking good for Team Liquid.
Absolutely. Now the fight's going to start for real though. AZK actually gets the Nano Boost here, interestingly enough. I guess it was the Dragon Blade available for Shatter and he was also dead. And he still gets the job done pretty comfortably. ID untouched for the most part of that fight. He was sat way back from his team using the upper ledge. Then he dropped down. Then he got in their faces and got that damage done. Now it's a matter of pushing up. AZK, I think, was trying to get the high ground there. Yeah, but he didn't quite get up on towards that ledge. Still, it's going to be pretty hard for LG Evil to fight back into this. They've got to filter through now. Luckily, it wasn't Meza going towards that bottom right corner. He went up to the top left here, so he lets him in, but Meza can hit the backline from here pretty well. And he hardly needs to. Shatter and Raph are already opening up, finding Jake and Train. That's going to just gut him.
Shatter has been having a monstrous game here so far. It's easy to overlook, but he's been getting first pick off in many of these fights and really just making Jake's life absolutely miserable here thus far. It's been a great look for Team Liquid, and they've absolutely been keeping LG Evil on the back foot and then some. 4.5 minutes as they enter last. One of the quickest times we've seen on Gibraltar in recent memory, and it's getting from bad to worse from Jake as he gets jumped on, slept, and finished by Shatter at the very end.
Yeah, this is pretty nice. You see Dahang obviously not playing that Zenyatta in this particular case. More happy to play Ana, of course, to just try and level up Shatter a little bit more when these fights come around. You can see he's going to try and do a little bit of damage, bit of healing, just get that Nano Boost online as soon as he possibly can here. A lot of aggression placed forward here for Messi. You can see where he's standing, just hiding around the corners, and he's going to get the high ground and wait to hit the backline.
Shatter in a great position right now. In comes the sound bear from LG Evil as they look for stabilization. They get ID immediately, and Shatter, he's had enough. He's just backing out of this to begin with. This is a lost fight off of those early pickoffs, but yet, you take a look at Team Liquid right now. They're in a fine position. They have a little under 4 minutes, Uber, and plenty of ultimates for the next fight, so we're probably looking at an ultimate showdown here, and how this goes will greatly decide the time that's left for Team Liquid when the dust settles.
Yeah, and look, LG will have a good comp for recovery here. They can reclaim the high ground quite easily with Vol and Super, and you saw that Dahang got caught out. I think he actually got stuck by Train in the last fight, went down early. Now, though, the fight's on. Rob 420, good response to the Transcendence coming out. Shatter realizes he has to go elsewhere to try and find his damage with the Dragon Blade. Now he's trying to chase Train. He can't find him, though. A Dragon Blade nullified. Great response there by Rob 420, and it even finds Meza to add to it. Now the 5v5, self-destruct going down the mix. Oh, AZK gets caught out on that one. Taken down by Vol. Much better stuff from LG Evil now.
LG Evil able to finally set up in a good position, get stabilization, where really a lot of this game here so far was them just being on the wrong end of momentum after their car wash defense went awry. Shadow right now jumping into a 1 versus 3. He's been great here so far, and yet he's able to survive. It's a great on a heal coming in for Dahang. It keeps Shatter in the fight, and they're actually able to push LG Evil back a bit. Yeah. That said, Mezar ends up falling. It's a late sound barrier, and Team Liquid might have just wasted a bit resource-wise.
Shadow should have died twice, if I'm honest with you there, but now he finally goes down to Super, who's been chasing that whole team fight. Jake there does connect actually the Helix rocket on towards Rafa, and now he chases down with Train. They're looking for, of course, this Anna. Dahang trying to keep himself alive. Unfortunately, he's not staggered out, so that's a bonus here. Now we're down to 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and Liquid definitely need to have a response to this, a split LG Evil with 4 players up on that high ground, and then the dive copter component super on the low.
Now you take a look at AZK. AZK coming in from the low ground, has a pulse bomb at the right. Doesn't want to throw it into a defensive matrix, but still, it's not bad position. Has to rewind out as Liquid still continues to try and pull LG Evil out, and yet it doesn't work out. They lose ID early on, and this is going to force the rest of Team Liquid pretty much back as Jake, plenty of room in the back line to finish out this fight.
Oh, great chasing. Great landing from Super there as well. Now, of course, the Primal Rage is going to come out. He's going to make it very, very hard for any establishment to occur here for Liquid. The last 2 times that Liquid have tried to dive on that upper platform, there's been a defensive ult to answer them. First time it was Rob 420 the Transcendence, then it was Avast in that last fight. And guess what? Rob 420's got another Transcendence ready to go. Shadow's going to switch over to D.Va. They need more ability to access that platform and actually get a man advantage in numbers.
They certainly need to do something here to get LG Evil off of this upper right platform, because so far their dive attempts haven't worked, and now they're diving into a Transcendence. This is not going to be super effective as Jake drops attack visor, moves in, and just evicts the support core of Team Liquid from that approach. And LG Evil, if nothing else, Uber, if they get a rhythm going on whatever place they've chosen to hold, it is very hard to remove them.
Yeah, they had support ults, right, every single time. Super actually jumped up on high outside the hangar just to try and get a different point to fight from. This is actually the opening for Liquid now. They can actually go in now. There's no support ults that really is going to mitigate that damage too much. Rob 420 can get jumped on here, and it's going to have to revolve, desperately trying to defend him. But Measure is serious about this. He goes for the Primal Rage, and there it is. Both supports go down. So Liquid took 3 fights. They refined their focus. Their target calling was very good, and there was no chance of support ults coming out there. A much cleaner fight, and they finally get over this hump.
And the scary part here for LG Evil is that LG Evil doesn't have anything they can really use to reverse course here. They're completely drained on ultimates, and Team Liquid has the ability to get right to their spawn doors here and go for free kills. AZK holding onto a Pulse Bomb. Guesses at the wrong door, but now goes over. Drops a Pulse Bomb, not going to get exactly what he wants immediately, but is able to fall through and kill a Vost anyway. So it's a quick pick off here from AZK as Team Liquid piling on and looking to just punch this one right in.
Yeah, and Dahang, he just slept Super as soon as he tried to jump on him at the start of the fight there. Super was sleeping the entire time. He's usually supposed to be the blunt object, the engagement. He's supposed to get in there first, but instead, he was sleeping on the job. ID gets 2. Now the self-destructors come in. No kills from that one, but it's okay for Shadow. He's going to get some health back and keep fighting now. Train and Rob 420 on from one side. They get picked off pretty easily. Now Super fills his own on his own, but it's too late. That's going to be it. Finally, Liquid get across the line.
I say, Liquid, they did get stalled out a bit by the LG Evil defense, but at the very end, they were able to have a successful engage, and they played everything properly in terms of solidifying it towards the end. We've seen teams get into that position before and let a team back into it, but not Team Liquid in this case.
The Hanzo switch at the start was so smart, actually. They sat there, they were like, what is going on? Why is there an entire team in this corridor? And then they immediately go for the Scatter Arrow and win the game. But that last point, they kind of over-focused on that high ground, and I think that they struggled a little bit way too long. They should have tried to pop out Rob 420's trans with, like, either the Primal Rage or maybe the aimbot, but they wound up nano boosting it at the end into a D.Va Matrix, and it didn't really work out for them, and then they wound up just kind of suiciding into a trans. But I do like to hang back on the Ana. I think that the Zen on control wasn't really working so much for him. I think his Ana is just proving to be so valuable.
I mean, they would like to run him on Zen, though. Still, I mean,
you think?
that I would feel like that's what they've been practicing. Maybe it hasn't worked out as well as they wanted to, as you mentioned, and they feel just more comfortable with him on Ana. It could also be the Train is putting a decent amount of pressure, Train and Super putting pressure on him. Maybe he feels like he can't get it as much done, but they need to do the same to Rob 420 if they want, you know, the best chance to succeed. And although it took them a long time to get to the very end, they did so well on point 1 and 2 that they had a little bit of leeway at the end. But we've seen Liquid, one of the problems that they have is closing out games where they have had the lead, you know, early on, and they just are not able to put it through.
All right, so we are just restarting not the stream entirely, but trying to deal with some of the crazy frame issues that have come up here. There was basically a moment that happened that seemingly infected things rather adversely, but we're dealing with that real quick here. If I can get an invite back to lobby.
I'm sure we can organize that for you at some point, CP. I mean, in general as well, I mean, we saw how much time LG Evil actually managed to make up there, obviously, in that last point there, just using the high ground really nicely. And that's kind of the problem sometimes as well. If you're running that single tank and you're not running a Diva or anything like that, you don't have a Pharah or any of that sort of verticality in your composition. If you just sort of have the, Genji and Winston that can actually jump in and then a Tracer who has to come via the stairs, then first of all, you get into the fight staggered. Secondly, you're fighting 3v4 because your whole team just can't access that part of the map. And thirdly, you go up against 3 defensive ults over 3 fights and lose all of them because you'll dive, you can't get any burst damage down on your targets, and you just get wrecked by Soldier 76 and the like. So I like that. I like that adaptation from LG Evil. I kind of would have been interested to see if, instead Liquid just forced them to drop down and pulled them maybe into a less than ideal spot. It's what a lot of teams do in the shuttle phase, right? You move forward with the payload, you force the defenders to drop down, and then you can actually sort of make a counter dive of your own, instead of like they were just diving 4 times on the same spot in a row and couldn't use every player on their team effectively.
No, Flame, I want to hear what you think, but for me, Diva is probably the most important off-tank right now. I think Roadhog for a long time, found its place, and of course Zarya for the majority of the beginning of the game. But right now, especially with the most recent-ish buff, Diva is just so good at shutting down all of hit scan and most of projectile. And that's why we've seen and tanks, and that's why we've seen the rise and the prevalence of this 2-2-2 style with Zen and Diva and Winston.
Yeah, I mean,
well, we are back into game right now, so taking a look at what's going on, we see Team Liquid coming in on the defense, and they're able to deal with Train immediately. So LG Evil getting a bit stymied here in the beginning. They're trading out somewhat evenly, 5 versus 5, and keeping the payload moving. So Team Liquid hasn't fully stalled this out here just yet, and in fact, we take a look at this is actually fine for LG Evil with the progress of Gun. However, it does look like they will get pushed back in the beginning.
Well, I mean, you can say fine, but most teams, don't even get contested at this point. So it's admirable that Liquid had the confidence to play from this perspective here. It was Meza not only got denied from getting up on the high ground, but also killed by the boot damage there as well from Rafa. That was really nice. Vol going down early. Now, Shatter and ID can actually protect Dahang, and Meza is there as well. So they can keep retreating to this high ground. They're forcing dives from LG Evil. Now the Dragon Blade. Oh, okay, that's disgusting. 2 for the price of 1 swing there. It's going to be Shatter just going absolutely ape.
And Liquid, this aggressive defense ends up solidifying in the car wash area, and you take a look at LG Evil, they're struggling to find a way to get through this, and we've seen LG Evil be very hit or miss in their performance on Gibraltar. They have spots that they're very good at fighting in, but the more wide open areas historically don't really suit them all that well, and Shatter continuing to have a phenomenal game here so far. Here comes LG Evil once more, and this engage is already somewhat scattered as they come in. Jake, though, gonna try and make it better with the tac visor, but gets bopped right out of the fight.
Yeah, he's just straight up not in position at all. Meza just wrecked him there as well, and once again, Dahang kept himself and his teammates alive by sleeping Super trying to jump in on that Winston there as well. That is just a sick response to that fight. Really nice work from Liquid. They actually knew to jockey back, and again, ID is very, very good at protecting Dahang, and Shatter also, even against you, is cognizant of the fact that he needs to keep his Ana alive. They all dive back, they all sort of envelop Dahang, and no one can really dive on him.
All right, so Team Liquid holding back here. They have a sound barrier for the next fight, but that is about all they have in this situation. Still, they're not able to get... Well, they take down Jake right after losing AZK, so it still kind of works. Rafa gonna drop the sound barrier for the 5v5, and even though LG Evil has a huge ult advantage here, there's no guarantee that they take this fight. That said, Vol off the self-destruct, gets rid of Shatter, and that should be enough for them to get in and punch this one through.
Yeah, that was nicely done. I have a lot of questions about Rob420's Transcendence there. I think he maybe mistimed it. He thought that Liquid were engaging, but it actually allowed LG Evil to get through the car wash unscathed, and then the fight actually started and actually got a couple crucial picks before the sound barrier could affect them. Rafa didn't, I don't think he got everyone with that one. Train's asleep though, outside of the spawn, but that's sick. Jake finds ID from across the room. That's really nice. Now Shadow going to push forward. Now the dive comes in from Liquid. They're going to re-establish if they can. They'll take a lot of casualties in doing so.
The interesting thing with this defense is Shatter with the Dragon Blade picks up 3. Will fall to tanks at the very end, but this is still hurting the momentum of LG Evil's push rather significantly here, where Liquid just swarming around, draining time off the clock as much as possible. And yes, the payload's moving here, but look at the time that bought there.
Yeah, more importantly as well, it actually gives time for the defenders to set up on the shuttle, right? That still was really important. Attackers have spawn advantage here, and if you let them have control of the high ground, you're going to struggle. So this is nice by Liquid. They can actually use this to start some nice fights up. You can see ID sitting right next to the hang. They're like in each other's pockets, like AKM and Unco style, to be honest. And there it is. Meza jumps on Train. Good stall allows Liquid to set up properly inside the shuttle phase here, and they'll be looking pretty hard to break for these next couple of fights.
Well, not only have they reset up entirely, ID is going to be able to get good positioning for his attack visor, and AZK still maintains the threat of dropping in from the heavens and delivering the most apocalyptic of gifts in the pulse bomb. So AZK dropping down, looking for the support, doesn't get a chance to drop the pulse bomb, but is still a distraction as Mezar gets Rob 420 anyways. So 2 quick kills from Team Liquid, and this push might already be done.
Yeah, ID, he's got so much space here just to do damage, and Vol can't really defense matrix much of it off there. You can see the ID to hang just sitting together on top. This is such a gross combo to try and deal with at the moment. And for Vol, you have to decide, am I going to peel back and stop Meza from wrecking my team like he just did then? Or am I going to go and try and shut down ID up on the high ground? It needs to be one of the two, and it's hard to see which is going to be the right answer for him.
Well, one way or another, LG Evil is slowly starting to run out of time here. At the minute 40 left, they're going to need just about all of that to get through hangar phase here, even if this fight is successful. Meanwhile, a beautiful delivery from AZK takes down a Vost, and that is going to put an end to this push immediately. AZK with another monstrous play to just really impede the momentum of LG Evil.
And you see what happens when Vol tries this time to go and try and deal with ID? Well, of course, he's sat next to Dahang, who hasn't missed a sleep dart in the last 5 as far as I could see, and Vol just gets caught sleeping up top of the shuttle. This is the risk you take when you're now defending teams with a bit of verticality in the compositions to set up on top of the shuttle. You give Ana lots of room, you give the 76 lots of room, and now they need to find out how to break this. They need to get some early picks, but it's so hard to do playing from this low ground.
Well, this might be their final attempt here. Soundbear coming in from LG Evil. Jake holding on to attack visor reserve. ID gonna pop it over the top, getting stymied a bit by the sound barrier. So a much better fight here from LG Evil so far, but they are burning everything they have to keep this fight going. The Transcendence just used, but no, you take a look. ID and Shatter doing a good job potentially bring this back, and the Dragon Blade is up for Shatter. Not really helped to use it here, but if he's able to get healed, no, he is not. Train takes him down. But this is a decent trade out here for Team Liquid, where they're not giving LG Evil the decisive fight they want, and AZK coming back in, starts mopping up on the kills, picks up a double on both LG Evil flankers.
Yeah, when a fight gets to that point, it was actually trading a lot, and the DPS players were trading each other out, so it's very hard to call. But then when AZK can come into the fight after the fact and he's got a man advantage, then there is going to be that element of cleanup. And guess what? They've set up on the shuttle again. This time they're not on the very top here, which does make a slight difference, but Shatter is going to make it hard to focus on those two up on top. He's going to go on the Dragon Blade here, gets the damage done, finds a Vast Super, gets blown to smithereens.
And LG Evil about to go down here in Gibraltar. All their friends are dead. Overtime ticks away, and Team Liquid coming back with a statement.
Of LG Evil is pretty good on this map, especially with D.Va and D.Va's ability to get on the high ground on 2 of the points. I could see them run the same thing that they have been playing on Lijiang.
I think one thing that was weird on Lijiang last time was that Mendo actually just stayed away from 76 altogether, and it kind of forced AZK or ID onto it, but now we're seeing Shatter on the 76. I think he's probably going to stick with it, and it was something that I think was lacking when Mezar was subbing in, but I don't know if that was preference or they just decided against it.
Well, we'll have to see in any case, as both teams right now swapping up their rosters in Spawn. Hard to take too much from this early opening, but you take a look at Team Liquid, they will be running a rather standard dive setup with a Pharah in the air, where meanwhile you take a look at LG Evil, they're deciding, perhaps in reference to what you were talking about, Uber, where perhaps Pharah, not their strength, they're going to stick with Jake on 76 on the ground, with McCree, where you have to think this double hit scan is tailor-made to shoot ID out of the sky.
Well, not just ID, but Dahang as well. He's going to be even more vulnerable to this kind of attention, so they need to be really careful about where Dahang positions himself in general. Already Vol's gotten himself involved in the fight. He filters through up on that right side, played close quarters pretty comfortably here with a good flash, and you can see what he's been able to do. And it's just LG stake out the far side of the point. They're going to push in now once they have control.
LG Evil now going right back in. Vol targets in his sights right now, looking for AZK. Not able to finish it out, but with Super Gang rid of Dahang, that's going to really hurt how much ID is capable of here, where a Pharah with the Mercy connected, almost very difficult to kill in most situations, but now the Mercy isn't there. ID has to be much more respectful of all the damage that could come into him. That said, Team Liquid is still hanging on to the point, maintaining the contesting that's going on here, but with Jake picking up 2 kills, it's going to be difficult for them to actually stay in.
That's really nice. AZK manages to find Vol there on that McCree, but he commits so much to the fight that he's just picked up pretty comfortably. Jake and Train are there to do so much damage, and this triple DPS combination for LG Evil is looking really sick. It says a lot about the depth in their roster when they can, play Vol on that McCree and have him inflict so much pain.
Well, the interesting thing for me is that Vol perhaps has been training in his spare time, where I would argue that when we've seen Vol on heroes like 76 in the past, it really hasn't been his most impressive offering, and yet now he's on McCree and doing reasonably well, at least for the first fight. We'll see if he can keep it up, but that'd be an enormous addition of depth to LG Evil if they could pull this off with consistency going forward.
It's also really good anti-Tracer or anti-Genji in a pinch, if you can make that flash happen. I know it's really obvious, but it's something we don't always think about. Deadeye coming in for the right side here, so Vol just setting up and, again, zoning. I get the meme, it's pretty funny. Vol just going to let the one go now and see what he can get with it. Shadow might be able to make his way in around the backside here. Jake's actually the one playing deep in his own backline. Vol forced to roll away from a very angry Winston here, and it's just better position for Liquid in this fight. Now they managed to pinch LG Evil from in front and behind.
Mezar really want Rob 420 to get his taste of the cars in the background, but does not happen. However, the rest of the fight's still going relatively well for Team Liquid. AZK unchained on the point, picks up 2 here so far, about to pick up his 3rd if he can deal with this Winston. But just because you win the fight doesn't mean you take the point immediately. But however, in this case, it does mean that as the delay does not come in, and Team Liquid gets their first cap of the round.
The LG Evil set up here as well. There's obviously a few reasons why you don't want to dive on LG Evil right now, especially if that McCree can sort of flash Mezza and they can burst him down really quickly. So we'll see what Liquid do about this. I think they have to play a little bit more cagely around that particular factor. They're going to use the high ground now and sort of just trickle down, I suppose. Super's up there on his own essentially at the moment, and Jake finds Ruffer in midair. That's a nice tack visor. Shadow doesn't even get close enough. He tries to dash in. He gets picked up. Jake finds 3 over that fight.
Jake had open sight lines for days coming into that, and that's pretty much a dream for a soldier coming in with the tack visor, just able to mop things up. LG Evil with a quick retake. And now, at least in terms of ultimates here, Uber, Team Liquid does have all the tools needed for a turnabout. They have a Dragon Blade on Shatter, which, the way the series has been going, has been enough at times, but they also have the Sound Barrier and the Transcends coming up. This should be a fight Team Liquid takes, but if they don't, that could be the round.
Yeah, Shadow going to go straight to the back line. The dive is complete there. Rob 420 is going to be very easily caught out there. Nicely done between Shadow and Mezza, and now he's going to go looking for the Soldier 76. Can't find him, but he's actually found himself a discordant Super, trying to escape inside the middle. Little Pagoda doesn't get away with that one at all. Jake managed to abscond early in the fight and found AZK, but that's going to be about it.
The good news for Team Liquid is that they converted on their ultimates, took the point the way that they needed to in this situation. The bad news for them is that they are drained across the board. They will have a self-destruct up soon, but that's going to be it. Meanwhile, many good things are coming up here for LG Evil, most prominently Primal Rage and Transcendence, and we've seen Super be very disruptive into the back, so how Super plays this could determine if LG Evil is able to take this fight and take the round.
That's it.
And now take a look at Super, and he's just counter-diving on the Mezar. They're focused on Mezar, but it's not enough. The dive already strikes. Vol is taken down immediately, and LG Evil gonna get thrown back.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I was just going to point out that LG Evil has a composition that actually kind of splits itself there, especially if Jake and Vol kind of play a little bit further back and Train and Super want to dive in there. They're at a little bit of risk of getting picked off by dive. They actually make themselves more susceptible to dive. This self-destruct's actually just dirty. Avast had nowhere to run from that one. Liquid just push it out of the gates, and this is a great way. Even if they lose the fight, they've stalled this one really nicely, and it doesn't even look like they're going to lose, ZP.
It's a great opening where there's just simply no natural cover in that spot. They're able to get that early pickoff, and now they've made huge inroads in evening up the time for progress on this round. And more than that, they've given Shatter time to build up a Dragon Blade, just about. So Liquid now with the real tools they need to potentially win what should be the decisive fight coming up.
Well, we've got a Transcendence available here as well, and Rob 420 is generally pretty on point with those with a few exceptions. So Vol, gonna Deadeye, but Pagoda's in the way. There's really nothing to be gotten from that one. I don't really know what the point is, but Super going to go in regardless, try and do a little bit of distraction in the front line, and Train does pick off Rapper. This now provokes the Transcendence from the side of Liquid here, but the damage is already done, and that's the flash there. But Shadow shakes it off. He doesn't get killed in that flash timing, and then he goes and gets himself 2 quick kills. That's going to really hurt. Jake finds 1 at least with attack load.
Rob 420 was able to fend him off towards the end, keeping some glimmer of hope here for LG Evil, but no, they're not able to stay on the point. Super leaping in just a little bit late there, and as a result, that is going to be Team Liquid's round. Although I will say, you take a look at the aftermath there a moment ago, I think if they were able to stay on the point, LG Evil had a chance of pulling that back.
What do you reckon of this McCree composition, boys?
It was a good read from LG Evil to start out that round because they know that they're going to run Pharah Mercy. They're able to take the point and, make it happen. I think the The biggest issue was that Liquid was able to stall out the very first take for maybe a minute and a half. They were able to switch ID into D.Va before LG was able to take the point to maybe 30-40%.
I think it was late actually. I think Shatter came up as D.Va first. It didn't work out. Then Dahang and ID swapped like later, and it wound up working. I don't know. I agree though. The McCree was probably the issue. I think once the D.Va came out, it was kind of a moot point to try to stay on it. But that's just my take on it.
I will not waste this opportunity.
All right, and now we see ID to the skies here once more as we enter the garden stage here on Oasis, eating a rocket from Jake as Jake fighting fair versus fair battle here and doing pretty well in the opening, but if you don't finish off the kill, it doesn't much matter because of the healing that Mercy puts out. ID is renewed, and Jake gonna have to hit rockets once more, and this time he takes a rocket from below. ID winning that fair fight, and now Team Liquid will have the air advantage as they look to secure this out.
Yeah, so I think, look, Jake's Farah is going to get scrutinized a little bit over this round because it is probably the most important component on LG Evil now. They're actually trying to fight fire with fire, and that's generally not where I've seen LG Evil be successful. I actually think they play better when they played their own style, but their D.Va's still present, so the McCree is not really an option here. I don't mind seeing it. We have to see it work out. He got too close to ID and just got burst down very quickly. Again, he just took a direct hit. He's got to be really careful.
ID right now certainly doing more in the aerial battle, just holding Jake back too, because when you take rockets like that, you can't be aggressive. You have to back out, and that creates more space for Team Liquid on the ground. EZK gets a sewer, but Jake, the turnabout, lands 2 direct rockets, killing ID and forcing out the resurrection. This fight certainly not over by any means. It's resurrection in the sound barrier from Team Liquid, the combo you go to when you want to reverse course in a fight, and they do just that. They take down 3 on the ground, and though Jake is still alive, his team has died all around him.
Yeah, a really good example of when a resurrect actually works in these fights. And now ID, he's back with a vengeance. Jake did well, to be fair. His Farah has actually been pretty clean so far. He definitely bested ID in that particular fight there, but Dahang having the res available was really important. The bright side is that LG Evil will have it available for the next fight. The downside is they've already lost 57%.
Time is not going to be on LG Evil side here, where they will have a resurrection up for this fight, but so may Dahang if it drags out. That's the problem with how quick res goes up. Still, the early sound barrier comes in from LG Evil, but it's scattered early on. Still though, with AZK going down, they have a 6v5 advantage. This is a pretty decent start all in all. Resurrection still in reserve, but they're struggling to actually get kills here. Liquid is rope-a-doping them, and as long as they do that, they gain percentage on the point.
Yeah, ID going to come in with a barrage here now as well. Jake returns to the fight though. He picks off Rafa. He comes in from an angle that it looks like Liquid weren't even ready for, especially while ID was busy using that barrage. Now it's going to have to be Shatter getting his D-suit, or getting his suit back, should I say, and AZK finds Jake. He comes a little bit too low to the ground. He was very low health for a lot of that fight. So it's a good stall. Very, very good stall from Team Liquid. You can't complain about this one. Shatter gets D-suited for a second time. Rafa jumps in. This is all to plan if you're Liquid.
LG Evil, they recap, but at what cost here? Liquid, they delay it out to get up to 99%. Now all they need is one decisive fight to take the round and be that much closer to taking the series. So Liquid, they're in a good position. LG Evil, for me, now Uber, it's all about their ult economy and how they manage this out here. If they have to use all their ultimates to hold in on any one of these fights, they will probably lose the next fight if Liquid has anything banked up.
Yeah, their post-res needs to be really good as well, just like it was for Liquid earlier on there. Shatter, it's an early D-suit. A nice little pulse bomb laid down by Train, and he actually finds Mezzo in the mix. That's a really nice contribution early in the fight for Train. And it doesn't even matter after that fact what the Farah Mercies were doing, but Jake managed to finish off Dahang. He's now stepping up to the plate, putting on pressure on ID, who in my opinion is one of the best Farahs in North America. I think it's very good, but Jake stepping up importantly, and they still have that res, and they have that sound barrier. They've got good defensive ultimates. They've also got a self-destruct, which can be devastating on this point, especially if you're a Farah Mercy. That's hard to escape from.
That was a very good fight for LG Evil because they were able to win it without committing a whole bunch of resources into it. They're going to be in a great position for this next fight. And now you see ID and Dahang coming in way out of nowhere. The self-destruct chasing them into the ocean. Doesn't quite hit, but will keep them out of the fight. Meanwhile, you look at the ground. Mezar and AZK getting poked down on the point. Yet, Avos goes down. This is starting to look a little bit better for Team Liquid. Rob 420 now has to decide, when does he use the resurrection? Does he bring it back up for one? And he does. Uses the res early in the fight, and yet Liquid still piling on right after. They are in a big numerical advantage here, and LG Evil now fighting for their lives on this round.
Yeah, we can see AZK obviously going straight in there as well. He's on the ground with the sound barrier being popped here. That is the furthest flown Winston I've ever seen in my life. Point recaptured back by Liquid. This might be done. Overtime now, we're going to be ticking through, and where are the reinforcements? Well, Volt gets a touch onto the point. That's all he's going to get for the moment here. He stops a lot of damage from coming through, and the D-suit will be there, but the rest of LG Evil, unfortunately, will not. Oh, the jump onto the point. Nicely done by Super to keep things going, but ID, again, he reigns the skies now, and when you're fighting against trickle, you do so much as Pharaoh.
And for LG Evil, they're just hoping for the miracle, and that miracle would have to come from Train, but he's taken down right away. They just don't have the numbers to contest on the point anymore. The delay ends, and Team Liquid, 1 round away from coming back from that early loss and taking the series.
Just quickly, self-destruct takes on a whole different meaning when you're actually using it against Pharah Mercies, because it displaces them in a big way. If you're Pharah and you're in midair and you've got nothing close by to use a concussive blast on, you're screwed.
AZK actually did a very good job in that last round during the junk rush to try to build ult as much as he could off of Super's Winston, and then use that to bomb out Vol in that final fight. Because they want to get rid of D.Va. That allows ID to have the most room that he can with that Pharah Mercy to land all those shots.
There was an initial engagement, I think, where Jake actually killed ID, but the Hang had res already, and we saw Rob was actually still stuck at like 70% or something. So while Jake was able to get the kills, I think ID was just pumping out more damage boosts to get to Hang more ults, and it wound up actually making a huge difference in who won that round.
So, Team Liquid coming back in here on the verge of taking it all. LG Evil backs against the wall here to win this first group stage matchup, and both teams taking it slow here, not really diving in too aggressively early on, feeling each other out before committing, and on the poke war, still relatively even, and this is interesting, Uber, with how much respect both teams are showing each other this early on.
Yeah, because it's so symmetrical on this point. I mean, they all kind of are as well, but in this way, you have to go very, very close. You want to make an informed decision before you start a fight. No pick, but Super went very low, and this sort of provoked Liquid to come very much forward now in this fight. He gets back to the point, he's looking a bit healthier, and Dahang was able to get enough space to pick off Train.
And now with Train going down early on, where we haven't really seen him too much on Genji historically. First one to fall there, ends up snowballing against LG Evil, so they have to give up first control of this point, and they're getting pushed back even further. Team Liquid, not sated. They have the bloodthirst right now, and they also build up quite a bit of ult charge in that pursuit as well. AZK, Pulse Bomb up for the next fight, and Rafa and ID close to having their toys also. So Team Liquid is in a great position here, and let's just see what AZK can do to open up this next fight.
He's going to be waiting right now in the shadows at this stage. There's a couple of players just around him there. Just a pulse bomb. This would be nasty.
Oh.
Yep, gets on the Zenyatta. That's great. There was no time as well for the defense matrix to come out there for Vol. No opportunity to prevent that damage coming through. And that's a one fight if I've ever seen one already.
I gotta say, just in due deference to Hexagrams, he would be saying check your corners right now, but even if they did check their corners, I'm not sure they had time to react there. That was just, well, we really hope AZK isn't holding here in the corner with the Pulse Bomb. Sorry, he was. That fight won from Team Liquid, and a lot of valuable time bought in the process.
AZK again looking to do a little bit more damage. He's going to be working from the front of the fight, but he's forced to recall fairly on him now. Close quarters, never usually a good idea for LG Evil. Dahang's going to be getting the healing as well. The Transcendence is out. It's a two big Winston's vacant. It's a very hard fight to follow, but for the most part, Messi gets 2 kills. That's big. He pushes Super and Avast right out of those close quarters. Now the attack fires are coming in, and Rob for 20 with the Transcendence over, but it doesn't work. It's not enough. The healing was there, but the damage was not. Train on towards AZK now. He switched over towards the Genji, but that's all he's going to find in this fight.
And let's just rephrase here. Team Liquid now 1 fight away from potentially taking this full series. LG Evil, they are out of mulligans at this point. They need this next fight to go well for them. They're going to have to fight through the sound barrier, but they have the self-destruct, and of course Super's Primal Rage. Vol coming in over the top, holding on to self-destruct. Primal Rage is popped, and LG Evil fully in on this dive. They don't get any kills from it early on, and it's 5 versus 5 as they struggle, but here's where AZK can be unchained. Gets the pick off on the side, Pulse Bomb is ready, diving back into the fight, and just throws the Pulse Bomb into the abyss.
Yeah, and now they drop down to the low ground as well. And look how many people can jump here. The verticality being very important on that point, but nice work from Liquid. They followed those targets. They followed Vol, they followed Super out of the pit, they chased them down, and now they have control of this point comfortably enough. Attack fires from ID is really just the icing on the cake at this stage. That's going to be GG. Nicely done by Liquid. A very commanding performance.